What's going on, YouTube family? Today we're going to be talking about why dealerships can't sell cars and it's only going to get harder. Now, it's no secret that the economy is slowing down. We're seeing layoffs across the board on the private and government sector, as well as families really hit hard with inflation. They don't have that disposable income to go out and buy a new car. To add even more insult to injury, a lot of dealerships stole their sales for the next 3 to 5 years because they sold cars way over MSRP or way over book value. And now these customers are buried in these vehicles and they can't get to them every 2 to 3 years to trade them in. And now they're going to be holding them for probably 3 to 5 years because they're so upside down. Now, we knew that all this was coming on top of the fact that banks were going to start putting major lending restrictions when it came to new auto loans. Because remember, we had a record high delinquency, we had a record high repo rate, and I think it was a record for the 30 days late, 60 days late, and 90 days late. So all that combines with basically banks wanting to pull out of the market or be very tight when it comes to lending. Now, how could it get even worse? That's what we're going to get into today. Now, I go by a metric that's called application count. Now, this is something that a lot of dealerships use to see where they're at currently in the market. Now, there's a few ones that are kind of nationwide, but not really. So I like to talk to independent dealers as well as franchise dealers just to see what their application counts were. A lot of them said that they're about 50% from where they were a year ago and over 65% lower than the year before that. That just tells me, like I said, we're keeping on the onward trajectory of people not wanting to buy cars or not being able to afford it. Now, a lot of dealerships and a lot of people have really been holding on because of tax season. Now, tax season is a time where we have about 5 to 6 months of a lot of spending of people buying cars. The whole economy in the United States basically leans into this. I have a friend that has a furniture store. He basically makes about 70% of his income for the year during tax season. So just like him, I would stockpile my inventory. I would start buying in December, and then I would start cleaning them up and getting everything ready by March 1st. So by the time all the tax returns came in, I would have these cars pretty much pre-sold. People just keep coming in and we'd be making really great money. Now, to go along with this is we'd always have a massive uptick and application count because people were getting ready to purchase a vehicle, so they would run their credit, see where they're at, and get ready to purchase these vehicles. Now, all the dealerships I talked to, whether they're independent or franchise stores, all agreed that the application count is way down. But even scary was the fact that I asked them how are they doing when it comes to sales now that taxes are starting to trickle in. So when I asked them how are they feeling about this year's tax season, what are they seeing so far, they all said the exact same thing. Absolutely nothing. They haven't seen any type of uptick in either sales calls, applications accounts, or people just wanting to buy cars cash. It's actually even lower than the month before. A lot of these dealers are holding on to overpriced inventory, and this is their last chance to basically dump it and get it off their books because now they're going to have somebody with $3,000 to $5,000 to $10,000 down. They could buy these cars that they paid way too much for 6 to 8 months ago that now they can finally get rid of. So now that the tax season hasn't came in, what are these dealerships going to do? So let's see what the average tax return is. This year, you're looking about $3,324. That is an increase to 5.7% compared to last year. Now, why is this number so significant and why are people relying on taxes? Now, there are trillions of dollars that get pumped out into the economy every single year as people get their tax returns. And there's a lot of businesses that are getting ready to spend that money, whether it's a furniture store, automotive store, and even debtors. I have friends that own title loan companies, other friends that own other type of banks. They usually get payoffs, they get pay downs. People pay off their credit cards usually when they get tax returns. Now, why is this such a big deal? Is because people are not getting the tax returns. And if they are, they're not paying down the debt. They're not purchasing new items. So where is all this money going? And that's the big question I need to ask because unfortunately, I don't have the answer. Now, I know last year, a lot of people were getting audited because they took maybe stimulus money or PPP money or their student loans were on forbearance for 3-4 years. And that kind of wipes it out, which we knew that was going to happen. But that's just a small part of America. That's not a majority of the people in here. So I don't know where all this money is going. A lot of my friends haven't received their tax returns, and some of the people thought they were going to be getting more and then ended up getting less after they got their things back from their tax return. So I don't know what's going on in the market. It's absolutely scary, and I think a lot of dealerships are really, really worried about this because if the application stays down to where it's at now, this summer is going to be horrible. And once we hit to the beginning of the third quarter, it's going to be horrific. We're talking about banks basically no longer lending, pulling back. We're seeing dealerships that are folding up at a record pace. Just here in Vegas, I've been looking around for dealership spots, and there's 2 more that are completely open now that said they were perfectly fine about 2 months ago. So we're starting to see that trend of more dealers going out of business. The money's not moving. Tax returns are not coming in. You know, we always talked about that bubble kind of popping and what's this thing that's going to set off the dominoes for the lowering of vehicle prices. You're seeing it now. Now, I know a lot of people are going to chime in the comment section saying, Lucky, the prices are still high. They're too high, blah, blah, blah. Of course they are, because you got a bunch of dumb dealers that went and paid retail for their cars, and now they can't sell them. So they're hoping that when you get your $5,000, $10,000 tax return, you can get them out of their negative equity for the car they bought, and then go get another one they can buy for a little bit cheaper. But I don't think that's going to happen. When I went to the auction last week, I ran a few more cars, and once again, a few of my cars that ran here locally didn't bring the money I wanted. Now, I let go of quite a few of them just to get them off my lot, but at the same point, I realized that the market is slowing down. Now, 3-row SUVs and minivans are gold during tax season. This is the first time I've ever done this in 20 years, actually sold them for exactly what I purchased them for. Now, that's a very scary thought. Now, I knew that tax season, whether the economy was good, the economy was bad, lending was good, lending was bad, those vehicles always tend to sell during tax season because there's a lot of these families that need, bigger cars to get around. Families that have the most kids get the biggest tax returns. And so that's why I always stockpile these cars during tax season. But like I said, this is the first year in 20 years that I literally haven't gotten any calls. Now, the scary thing is a lot of the calls that I've been getting requesting vehicles are people that are making over $100,000 a year, not under, which is usually the complete opposite. Usually anybody that makes over 80K is always paying in taxes. But for some reason, a lot of my friends are getting tax returns this year. And I think because most of them didn't qualify for stimulus and some of these other loans. And so now I'm wondering, is this going to change the dynamic? Are more luxury cars going to go up and some of the cheaper cars going to go down? So every time we figure that we got our pulse on the market, that we know exactly what's going on, something happens and changes all of it. Now, I would say if you're looking at buying a car and there's one that you've been eyeing for a while and the dealership's been very, very hard to negotiate with you, now is your time. Show them this video. Say, hey, look, I know your applications count is down. It's probably 50% of what it was last year. I know banks are not approving anybody. I'm ready. I got my pre-approval letter from my bank. If you got a check from your bank, walk in there with it. If you're paying cash, bring a checkbook with you and say, I got cash, I got money, let's make it happen. Because now is the time. Because some of these dealers are still holding out hope, like, oh, tax season's going to bail me out of my headache from last year. I'm good to go. But the way I see things trending right now, I don't see it. Like I said, all I see is fear and greed in every dealership's eyes, which is kind of sad. I don't want dealers to go out of business because at the end of the day, if there's more dealers, it makes them more competitive and then we could lower prices. When there's less dealers, they kind of corner their local markets and what happens is the prices stay inflated. So it's kind of a balancing act of having enough dealers to lower prices and to move cars, but not one or two monopolies where they take over a small area. Now, I have a friend of mine that lives in Texas and every single dealership in his area is owned by one family. They just have different names. So after the one dealership burns them, they just go to the different one, but it's like stealing or making money off the left pocket, off the right pocket. It's the same company. And so we don't want that. We want to have multiple dealerships working in every area to try to give you the best deal possible. Now, with all that being said, now is your time to negotiate, but I'd love to hear in the comment section below, have you guys seen your tax returns? Are they coming back as what you thought you were? Did you get hit with some random student loans from a while back? Did they ask for any type of stimulus money back? A lot of the stuff that we like to share on this channel will help everybody else. So please put in the comment section below, let me know what you're thinking and what you're seeing in your market. Also, if you're in one of these smaller towns or rural areas, I'd love to know what are the dealerships doing in your area. They're usually going to be either really full with cars ready for tax season or they're going to be empty. But like I said, let me know what you're seeing in your area with your city, state. It'd be great to share this with everybody, and we'll see you next video.